creating high-value jobs. But today, we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press out. Press. We're going. Thank you, press. Press. Right, guys. Cameras. We're done. Camera. You guys. Step out, please.
And creating high-value jobs. But today, we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press out. Press. We're going. Thank you, press. Press. Right, guys. Cameras. We're done. Camera. You guys. Step out, please.
High value. But today we...
Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, Salakia. And I want to get into a quick lesson, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the hopeful elect and the ones listening in. And I want to, my name is Brother Napak for the Camp Prophets of Babylon down here in Tampa, Florida. I want to give the honors to elders and apostles, a great millstone who teach and rule well, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. And I want to get into a quick lesson as you see it. News article. This is from Dom. Is live news. It's an Instagram page. He updates on a lot of news. Certain things. It's another thing that I used to watch. To be a watchman. Which what every prophet should be. But it says, breaking, a man just collapsed during Trump's Oval Office announcement. All right. And as you see in the video, the first thing to take notice of, well, I took notice of, is everybody in here, they're old, man. All right. They're old. And that's kind of what I want to get into, just from this video itself, is Esau is not fit, all right, to rule forever. Esau is not fit to rule forever because look at him, all right? You have guys passing out in their own announcement, Oval Office announcements, their meetings and their councils that can't stand for too long. Their backs are giving out, their legs are giving out, These guys are getting really old, man, and frail. All right. And because of that, these guys are not meant to rule forever. You see, the Lord's going to give his men and his people everlasting life to be forever young. Okay. And that's what these devils want. That's what these devils, try to receive, by doing the little rituals and, drinking, all the blood and all these different things these devils do to try to look and stay young. But ultimately, they still grow old because they cannot do these things that the Lord is going to do for his men, for his people. He's going to bless and reward his people with. All right. So first, I want to get Job 14 verse 5 real quick. This is Job chapter 14 and verse 5. It says, give me 1 second, I can select you. It says, seeing his days are determined, the numbers of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds, that he cannot pass. All right. And I want to get an NLT. It says, you have decided the length of our lives. You may know how many months we will live, and we are not given a minute longer. All right. So ultimately, in this kingdom, no one has everlasting life. Okay. No one can live forever. And that's what these devils try to do. That's what these devils try to obtain, is that everlasting life so they can rule forever, to forever look young. All right. But ultimately, they understand that once they die, everything that they worked for and they built here is going to stay here, and it won't be able to go up there with them. Okay, all their accomplishment will not be able to, you know, be go to you know go into rest with them. All right, they leave all these things behind, so these devils want to continue to stay in power and rulership forever, and they can't do it. All right, but once the Lord comes back, okay, the Lord's coming back to put his people into rulership. And with that being said, the Lord is also going to give us that everlasting rulership, all right, to be able to rule forever, all right, to forever stay young and forever to forever live, all right. And that's something that these devils dream upon, okay. But these are bounds that he cannot pass, all right. These devils want to go and search out into the heavens, or go out of space and go into the depths of the ocean. But these are bounds that they cannot pass because the Lord has not given that to them. They are not blessed with that like the Lord's going to bless his man with. Okay? So ultimately, all right, the Lord is having it to where, you know, as we're coming into the end, all right, we start to see this kingdom fall. We also are starting to see their leaders fall. All right. Before this kingdom is falling, the leaders of this place is falling as well. They're getting old and frail. All right. And I believe I seen a comment. I don't know if I can find it here still, but I seen a comment and it was like, this is what happens when you have a whole bunch of old people in the office ruling. All right. And you had Donald Trump, just sitting there looking at it. It says, need to put an age limit in any sort of political position. All right. It says, yeah, I can't find it, man. But yeah, man, because ultimately these guys are old and frail, man. All right. And their kingdom is becoming frail and old and weakened through age. That's what the scripture goes into as well. But I'm going to grab this real quick. All right. It says, Ecclesiastes, Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 2, it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of men the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So ultimately, as the leader of this place, all right, the ruler, all right, the judge, so is his officers, and so are the people of the city. All right. And these devils are prideful, all right, but weak. All right. They have a lot of pride, but they're frail. All right. And that's the same thing as these damn Americans. They're prideful. All right. But they're overweight, out of shape, pacifists and feminists. All right. You look into these other countries, for Russia, like Russia, you don't see big people or overweight people out there in those different countries, man. But here in Babylon, America, you see that. Trump himself is out of shape, man. And he's old and he's frail. So same thing as these people. All right. They have that pride. All right. Because they can just sit back and let, the devices and the crafty devices they make, all right, do everything for them. All right. But ultimately, the weapons of war that they created will not do anything against the Lord when he comes back and take this place. Okay. So these devils sit back, all right, and sit in these offices and these councils, and they make all the different rules and demands. But these devils are as frail as paper, man, as weak as paper. All right. And they just sit back and make all these demands. But the Lord's going to have it where the rulers, all right, of this next kingdom, of, the kingdom that will rule forever, all right, when Israel will rule, every man is going to be young and strong and energized. Brothers going to be able to do all types of things. And these devils can't even stand for a long time. These devils can't stand up for an hour, all right? And you think these niggas going to continue to rule forever? You think the Lord's going to allow them to continue to rule this place? Hell no, man. All right? They won't. They don't have that that same reward as us. They may have the kingdom now. They may be in rulership now, but it doesn't last forever. All right? It can't last forever. All right? It says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority the city shall be inhabited. All right? It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. All right. So the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, man. All right. So the Lord has given them the power and the rulership now. All right. And we've seen how they're ruling it, and they don't have all, they're not profitable, all right, unto their kingdom. All right. They're not fit to rule. And it's showing you this. Through the video I just played. They're not fit to rule a kingdom. Okay? They don't have, a lot of time. And you're looking at these devils in the office, but above them, them small hats, all right? The ones that really rule and take over this, that's trying to take over this world, they're old, man. These elites, these wicked elites, they're old, man. All right? And therefore, and they want to continue to live. They want to continue to see their kingdom to get to where they want it to be. All right, to accomplish their agenda and the crafty devices that they set in the office for years, planning on, wasting years of their life to plan this agenda out, and they may not even make it. Some of them may not even make it to that chip coming out, man. Officially, all right, being mandatory, okay. But they trying to rush it so they can see it, so they can have it, so they can have a taste of it, all right. But the Lord's going to give them that taste and swipe it right out of them. All right, all they're gonna get is that taste, man. So even if they do live for long, they only gonna still get a taste of that complete control. All right, but they won't have complete control over everyone because they won't have complete control over the men of the Lord. All right, it says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. All right, and that's more fit for the king to rule. It says in the hand of Yahweh is the prosperity of man, and upon the person of the scribe shall he lay his honor. All right, so in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh, is the prosperity of men. All right, the Lord is the one that gives the prosperity. The Lord is the one that putteth up and bringeth down. Okay? All right? So ultimately, these devils, they got. All right, they're in their quote unquote prosperity right now. They're prospering and triumphing, but the Lord is slowly taking it away and showing us through their mannerisms. All right, the way they are, the way they act, how hasty they are and anxious they are to get this agenda, fulfilled. All right, because they're scared, man. They know that their kingdom is but a short time left. They have but a short time left in this kingdom. All right, let's get that real quick. Weaker through age. Damn it. Because they don't have much more time, man. And we know that because we've seen the prophecies being fulfilled. 2nd Ezra chapter 14 and verse 17 says, for look how much the world shall become weaker through age. So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. So over time, this world is becoming more and more weaker. Their rulership is becoming more and more weaker through age. It's becoming more wicked. All right. Things are just not the same anymore. Even Jake that live upon this place and that dwell here spiritually and mentally, they even say it's not the same. I miss how it was before because it's not the same. Or the peak times, all right? The peak times of fun and cherishing this place are over. Everybody's going through it. They try to, hide it, all right? But it's not. They can't hide it very well. The people of this nation cannot hide it any longer, man. All right? They can tell that this place is crumbling. They can feel that this place is crumbling, man. All right? So it says, 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 18, I want to get this as well. It says, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the man shall be afraid. And these devils these people, they're very prideful. And because of that, pride goes before destruction. All right, so the houses and the cities, all right, it's going to be destroyed and troubled. All right, man is going to be afraid. These prideful men, all right, I think they can do whatever, all right? You can't even look at a nigga wrong and he think he the the big guy, man. He him. All right. You know, so the Lord is going to ultimately humble, all right, this whole kingdom, all right? And he's going to uplift and put on top his men that served him, okay? And let's just go back
You
to
okay?
the video real quick.
And creating high-value jobs. But today, you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press out, press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right, guys. Cameras, we're done. Cameras. You guys.
Like I said, you know, you take notice on how old everyone in that office is, all right? They age, they get old, they decay. But the Lord's going to give his men everlasting bodies that's going to be incorruptible, that will not decay, all right? An everlasting rulership, all right? Let's get that real quick. Twink it, man. Yep. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 52. I'm going to get an NLT. It says, "And it will happen in a moment, in the blink of an eye, when the last trumpet is blown. For when the trumpet sounds, those who have died will be raised to live forever. And we who are living will be also transformed." All right. It says, "For our dying bodies must be transformed to bodies that will never die. Our mortal bodies must be transformed into immortal bodies. Then when our dying bodies have been transformed into bodies that will never die, the scripture will be fulfilled. Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" All right. So ultimately, you know, we're going to be transformed into those immortal bodies having everlasting life that will never die. All right. To continue forever, to continue to live forever, you know. And that's what we're going to be transformed into once this kingdom is over with. All right. So we're going to be able to go to those bounds that these devils cannot pass. All right. We're going to be able to pass those bounds that these devils cannot pass, man, you know. And they're going to, you know, they don't want that, man. These devils already understand that and know that. And they try to take over the world so it doesn't happen. But you can't stop what the Lord has already prophesied. All right. You know, once the Lord said it, it's going to be done. It's over, you know. So we're going to defeat death. And these devils have not defeated death. These devils can't defeat death. Those are bounds that they cannot pass, you know. They are not able to have those immortal bodies to
Jobs.
rule forever.
But today,
All right?
you okay?
One more time, Brandon.
Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press out, press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right, guys. Cameras, we're done.
And you can, he said, "We done. Turn the cameras off. Turn the cameras off." You know, because that's embarrassing, man. And you won't be able. You ain't gonna be asking each other if we okay in the kingdom, man. We gonna know we okay. Everybody's gonna be lively and energized and, you know, young and vibrant. All right. But they looking at each other. They all look pale in the face, old, wrinkled, frail. Look at Trump. He's just sitting there like, damn, you know, what can he do? He embarrassed, man. He don't even want to look at the camera anymore, man. Okay, like, yeah, just turn the cameras off. You know, they seen everything. Okay. But ultimately, the Lord's going to make it where we rule forever, and we won't have embarrassing moments like